Hello, Warhawks. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Carnegie Geometry. This is Mr. Tipton. Today we're going to be working out of Chapter 2-4, which is parallel lines and transversals. Now, I'm sure you know what parallel lines are, but the other word there, transversal, you might not have seen before. And when you have parallel lines and a transversal, we're going to create these different types of angle pairs. Sometimes the angles are going to be created that are going to be congruent to each other. Other times they're going to add up to equal 180 degrees. So let's start by looking at a set of parallel lines. So here I have a parallel line, a set of them. So those two lines are parallel. And then I'm going to throw another line in here that's going to be called a transversal. Well, I'm going to start by writing some values in here. So this angle right here, I'm going to say is, we'll just make it easy. We'll say that it's 110 degrees. Now, you guys already know some things about these other angles that are next to the 110 degrees. Like this angle and the angle across from it is also going to be 110 degrees. And you should know that because those are called vertical angles. Vertical angles, angles that are across from each other, are always going to be equal to one another. And we should be able to figure out this angle here because this blank angle and 110, they make a straight line. So we've learned that angle pairs that make a straight line have to be supplementary and therefore add to equal 180 degrees. And as you can see, 110 plus 70 does equal 180. And then you see if this is 70, then this also has to be 70 because they're vertical angles. Or you could even think about it as, hey, those two angles create a straight line, which is going to make 180 degrees. Well, some special things happen here when we have two parallel lines and a transversal that crosses both of them in the same way. We actually create some angle pairs. So let's get to those. And again, this line right here is the one that's called the transversal. So keep that in mind. Remember that when you have two parallel lines and they're crossed by another line, we call that line the transversal. Now we get to our first set of angle pairs. So angles that are corresponding to each other are going to be equal to one another. And I'll tell you what corresponding means. So I'm just going to name this angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. Now, that's not the measurement of those angles. I'm just naming them right now so they're easy to keep track of. And then down here, I'm going to list some other angles. Angle 5, angle 6, angle 7, and angle 8 are down here. So we have two parallel lines and a transversal. We're looking for corresponding angles here. So the first thing I want to do is just look at these top angles up here. You'll notice that angle 1 is in the top left-hand position from that parallel line and that transversal. If I look down here with these other angles, we're going to have some corresponding angles. Which angle down here would you think is in the same exact position as angle 1? Hopefully you can see that angle 1 and angle 5 are both in the top left-hand position. We call those corresponding angles. They're in the exact same place, but they're on different parallel lines. And the crazy thing is that corresponding angles are going to be equal to one another. So here I'm just taking you back to this last example, and we had an angle here like angle 70. Well, if you look down here, there's some angles down here, and angle 70 and this angle right here are both in the top left. So they're going to be congruent to one another because they correspond with one another. So angle 70 there and angle 70 there are corresponding angles, and they are congruent. Now we go back to this diagram. We actually have 4 sets of corresponding angles that are going to be congruent to one another. So we already said angle 1 and angle 5 are congruent to each other because they're corresponding. And if we look here, angle 2, now angle 1 and angle 2 are not the same, but angle 2 is also going to correspond to an angle down here. Hopefully you can see which angle it corresponds to. Angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. They're in the exact same place on the different parallel lines. So angle 2 will also be congruent to angle 6. Now I'm going to pause this for just a second, or you should pause it for just a second, and you should think about which angle is going to correspond to 3 and which angle is going to correspond to 4. Here are the angles that correspond. Hopefully you saw that angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding angles. They're in the same location. Bottom left, bottom left. They will be exactly equal to each other. And not only are they equal to each other, but they're also equal to those vertical angles. So I just need 2 congruency marks there because 3 and 2 are also congruent. 3 and 7 are congruent because they're corresponding. And then lastly, angle 1 and angle 4 would be the same, and angle 4 and angle 8 are also corresponding angles. So these are our angle pairs that are congruent because they correspond down here with those angles up there. So whatever the angle or measure of angle 1 is, the measure of angle 5 is going to be exactly the same. Same with 2 and 6, 3 and 7, 4 and 8. Those are corresponding angles. Now we get to our next set of angle pairs. These are called alternate interior angles. So if you look at this picture, the 2 parallel lines are here. We call anything that's between the 2 parallel lines, we call that the interior. So we can see here that anything that's between the 2 parallel lines is going to be called the interior. So angle 3, 4, 5, and 6 are in what we call the interior. Angles that are outside of the parallel lines, meaning up here and down here, are called exterior. 1, 2, 7, and 8 are considered exterior angles because they're not between the parallel lines. So we're looking for angles that are alternate and they're interior. Now that word alternate is referring to the transversal. We want angles that are on the different or the alternate side of the transversal. So if I look here, angle 3 is an interior angle. The angle that is the alternate, meaning the other side, interior angle from 3 is not angle 4. We're talking about an angle that's on the other side of the transversal in a different set of parallel line. So angle 3 and angle 6 are considered alternate interior angles. Now if you look at those, you can kind of see 3 and 6 look like they're going to be the same measurement, and actually they are. So angle 3 is going to be congruent to angle 6. Alternate interior angles are congruent. We have one other set of alternate interior angles. Angle 4 is an interior angle. And then I go to the other side on the different parallel line, and I see that angle 4 and angle 5 are also alternate interior angles. And they are congruent to one another. So angle 4 is going to be congruent to angle 5. Whatever the measure of angle 4 is, angle 5 also has that measure. So 3 and 6 are alternate interior, 4 and 5 are alternate interior. Now we get to our next set of angles, alternate exterior angles. So we talked about how the stuff that's out here is considered the exterior. So these angles that are outside of the parallel lines are considered the exterior angles. So we look at our angles. 1, 2, 7, and 8 are exterior. So I'm going to go ahead and mark, sorry about that, angle 1. And I'm going to try to find the angle that is alternate to angle 1 and on the exterior. So 1, and then I want the other side of the line to make it alternate, but I also want it to be on a different parallel line. So 1 and 2 are not alternate exterior. It has to be on a different parallel line. So angle 1 and angle 8 down here are going to be alternate exterior angles. And look, they pretty much look the same because they are exactly congruent. So angle 1 is going to be congruent to angle 8 because they are alternate exterior angles. Now we look here, 2 is also an exterior angle. Angle 2, go to the alternate side on the other parallel line, and we see that 7 is the angle that is alternate exterior with angle 2. So angle 2 is going to be congruent to angle 7. And those are alternate exterior angles. They're on the outside, 1, go to the opposite side, and the different parallel line, 1 and 8 are alternate exterior angles. And they are congruent. Okay, now we get to one of our last sets of angles. Now these are going to be different. Same side interior angles. So again, we're going to be looking at the interior, which is the area between the two parallel lines, and we're looking for ones that are actually on the same side. So our same side interior angles here, 3 is an interior angle, and the one that's on the same side of the line, but also on the interior, is actually going to be angle 5. Now you may notice something. Angle 3 is an acute angle, and angle 5 is an obtuse angle. They are not going to be equal to each other. But same side interior angles are supplementary, which you should know what that means. It means they add up to equal 180 degrees. So we could say angle 3 plus angle 5 will equal 180 degrees. Those are same side interior angles. They are not equal to each other, they're supplementary. Hopefully you can see the other set of same side interior angles. If I look here, angle 4 is an interior angle, and angle 6 is on the same side as angle 4. Now again, they are not equal to each other. Angle 4 is obtuse, angle 6 is acute. So angle 4 plus angle 6 will equal 180 degrees. Same side interior angles are supplementary. And now we get to our very last set of angle pairs. These are same side exterior angles. So again, now we're looking in the exterior, which is up there, and which is down here. It's outside of the parallel lines. So we want ones that are on the same side. So I look here and I see angle 1 is an exterior angle. On the same side of the transversal, on the exterior, is also angle 7. Now again, like same side interior, I look, angle 1's obtuse, angle 7's acute. So these do not equal each other. Again, same side exterior angles are supplementary, which means that they sum to equal 180. So I could say angle 1 plus angle 7 equals 180. How do I know that's true? All I have to say, they're same side exterior angles. We'll look over here too, and we see another set of same side exterior angles. 2 is exterior, 8 is exterior. They're on the same side of the transversal. Again, they're not congruent, they are supplementary. Alternate exterior angles like 2 and 7 are congruent, but same side exterior angles like 2 and 8 are supplementary. So I could say angle 2 plus angle 8 will equal 180 degrees. That's it for today. Remember those, study it, write it down, make sure you know these angle pairs. They can help you out in a lot of different ways. So let's lastly go back to this last thing here, and we should be able to fill in the rest of these values. If this is 70, that's 70 because they're corresponding. If this angle is 70, this angle over here is also 70 degrees because they are alternate exterior angles. Or you could see that 110 and 70, same side exterior, must be supplementary. If I look here at this 70, I know that this angle down here is same side exterior with 70. So it's got to be supplementary. And then lastly, I can look at this 110 here and that 110, or even this one and that one, or see that these are supplementary. But this angle right here is also going to equal 110. So notice something here. Whatever one of your angle measures are in this picture, all of them are either going to be equal to it, so 70, 70, 70, 70, or they're going to be supplementary to it, 110, 110, 110, 110. So keep that in mind. Have a great night.